Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. A talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is internationally syndicated solely due to the love and support that you all continue to give. We're available across all major distributors, and as long as you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in, because on the line with us today, we have the impressive Dr. Donna Chlopak. And we're going to be discussing Donna's amazing book, Learning to Fish in the 21st Century, navigating the career waters to find and land a choice position. Now, that's available through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and a whole host of places. People simply type it into a search bar, and you're going to be greeted with all of it. And I'm telling you, this is a book you need to add to your shelf. Before we go any further, I want to quickly point out the fact that Donna was brought to us by one of the best publishing firms in the business, Author Reputation Press. So for my writers out there who have gone through their process, and now you find yourself in a difficult position, right? Because you've made the book, but now you need some help moving it. Well, contact ARP because they're one of the best movers in the business. It's authorreputationpress.com. Head on over there today and view all of the ways that their fantastic team is going to help you do just that. People, imagine job hunting is like fishing, okay? But instead of a quiet pond, man, you're casting your line into a swirling, competitive ocean full of algorithms, personal brands, and ever-changing rules. I mean, wow. That is pretty much the job force in a nutshell, right? I love this analogy that Donna has created in her book, Learning to Fish in the 21st Century. Man, she is not just handing you a rod. She teaches you how to navigate the tides, spot the big catches, and reel in the career of your dreams. This is something for all of us. Trust me when I tell you, whether you're a fresh graduate or a seasoned pro looking to level up, this book is your tackle box for the modern job market. I promise that. I'm going to keep the puns to a minimum, man, but it's hard, okay? I love the analogy, and everything fits so perfectly. Sit back, strap in, have your notebooks ready. Donna is going to be dropping some wisdom here today. Donna, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and thank you for having me.
First and foremost, let's add a little bit more validity into those words. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background.
Okay, well, I am my PhD is in industrial organizational psychology, and I have taught at various colleges and universities, undergraduates and graduate students, mainly in business schools. But this book came about when I was asked to teach a career development class. And after I taught it for a couple of semesters, I decided I couldn't find a book that helped me the way I want, like a typical textbook. So I actually, when I stopped teaching it, I had some time on my hands, and I said, let me put together what I put together for my students. And I have been using it. It was initially published in 2016, but I've been using it since then. And I think that the critical point is a career journey is a lifetime journey. And then the title of the book, even though you've made some really fun fishing analogies, it came from an old Chinese proverb that says, if you give a man to fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach a man to fish, or a woman, they'll eat for a lifetime. And a career journey is a lifetime activity. So the first job you get, whether it's right out of school or once you enter the workforce, typically will not be the job you have for the rest of your life. So hopefully this provides you with what you need to, as I said, navigate those waters.
listen, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Like, people, this is not a book about fishing. You are learning a skill here. And I think that is so crucial in this. And I think it's a wonderful thing that you've constructed, because that title, in the way that it's posed, it perfectly encapsulates the book, because it poses things as a skill that is being learned rather than luck that is being received. Well, if we're, following along those lines, my curiosity to you, in your years of experience, what is the most counterintuitive or overlooked technique that job seekers fail to master?
Well, there's several sections in the book. The first thing that job seekers need to understand, I think, is who they are. What are their skills? What are things that aren't their skills? And what are they looking for? So not only who they are, but then how does that fit and match with a company? And that is important, because you could get a job and you might think you like the job itself, but the company may not be a cultural fit to you.
What is a career myth that you try to actively debunk in your book that most job seekers still believe?
Well, a lot of people, especially young people now, but a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to get this job in this company and that's where I'm going to be. Very few people, especially young people now, when I mean young, I mean people that are into their 30s even, will be changing jobs. 3 to 5 years, you'll be changing jobs. And the marketplace changes, the jobs change. If you are not a lifetime learner, you will fall behind. So one of the things that's really important, and things that are probably different than my parents or even some people my age, we won't go into that, think that, they're going to have this job. Gee, I like this company. It's fine. I'm going to be there forever. But the majority of times you're not. And there is such a thing, by the way, also called salary compression. And if you stay with the same job for 20 years, 25 years, you will be underpaid probably, because your salary increases every year if you're at the same company, generally, or unless you get a big promotion, generally 3 to 5%. When you change jobs, you should get at least a 10% increase. So think about a person who's had 7 jobs in 11 years versus a person who's had 2 jobs in 11 years. Their salary, those with 2 jobs in 11 years, will have a compressed salary.
Yeah. Great advice. People, I'm telling you, it's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble. The book is called Learning to Fish in the 21st Century by Dr. Donna Chlopak. This is something that you need to add to your shelf. Donna, my follow-up question now that I want to go into, and you've mentioned it already, the importance of networking. And listen, I understand, right? Networking is something that can oftentimes feel intimidating, but is an absolute necessity on your job hunt. And, listen, it oftentimes feels transactional to a certain extent, right? Well, how do you teach your readers to build authentic, lasting professional relationships instead?
That's a very important point, because in today's job market, any open position that's advertised will get 100 or more applications. And people that look at the resume that comes in, if it gets through the AI screening process, they don't spend a lot of time there. However, if someone says to the person that's looking for a job, gee, I know John, and I think you should look at John's resume, that'll give you time. And how do you create that network? Who do you talk to? Do you get in an elevator with somebody at your building? Do you talk to them? I ask all of my students that have roommates, I said, do you know what their parents do? Do you interact? You interact with people, and you interact with them, not necessarily say, oh, you're going to give me a job later, but who do you know? And I had a situation when I was teaching at one of the universities, and my student came up to me and he said, do you know anybody who's an accountant, that I could talk to? And I said, unfortunately, the only accountant I know is my accountant, and he won't help you. I said, well, what does your mom do? What does your dad do? What do your relatives do? And he said to me, oh, I have an uncle that's the CFO of several companies. I said, why don't you talk to him? He has been working in one of his uncle's companies ever since that.
As I'm listening to you speak, and I know my listening audience, and I know a lot of them are looking at it and they're like, man, you almost have to be like a Swiss Army knife and have all of these different tools to pull out at any given occasion to be able to stay fresh, to stay competitive in this market. Well, as the job force continues to change, right? And we are now on the precipice of a huge transition, right? Given the advancement of technology and AI and how that is reshaping the workforce, I'm curious to know what's the one skill that you think will be a non-negotiable for job seekers in the next decade?
It's interpersonal skills. It's the ability to interact, even, I'm not going to say with robots, but it's the ability to listen and to communicate. And that is critical. But I also want to say one thing that you brought up, and I want to bring up to the listeners, that your application to any position will typically require a resume, and you will need to have a different resume for every position you go to. And when I say that to people who've spent 3 to 5 hours writing a resume, they go, oh, I don't have time. If you purchase the book, you will find a template for a resume that will take you 10 minutes to alter for every job that you go to. And it will be one focus on the job.
Donna, I love that piece of advice. Keeping that resume fresh, not just sending out the exact same resume to each different company, because every company is going to require something different. And it's not to say that you embellish the resume, but you cater that resume to the job you're applying for. And I think that's a crucial piece of advice. People, again, this is a book you need to add to your shelf. I promise you, we've barely scratched the surface, but you can see the education is real, okay? The wisdom is second to none. One last time, it's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble. Put it into a search bar, man. You're going to be greeted with a whole host of places. Dr. Donna Chlopak is a name to be remembered. In her book, Learning to Fish in the 21st Century, Navigating the Career Waters to Find and Land a Choice Position, is a book to be added to your shelf. To all of the job seekers out there, man, grab this book, cast your line with confidence, and get ready to reel in success. Donna, this has been a true pleasure, an absolute honor. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure.